So since my last video covering my thoughts on Joel and Ellie's casting for HBO's The Last of Us, we've gotten a few new bits of information about the series, including the fact that filming will begin in July, and confirmation from Neil Druckmann that the show's first season will cover the events of the first game, which I kind of expected. While the show will deviate greatly in some scenes, the core of the story will remain faithful to the point that even specific lines of dialogue are going to be directly lifted. So with that in mind, I thought it'd be fun to go through the original game's supporting characters and give my thoughts on who I'd like to see in each role. This video will contain spoilers for both games, so if you haven't played them and want to go into the series fresh, now's your chance to click away. If the show opens in the same way the game does, Sarah will be the first character we see on screen, so this is a pretty crucial role, especially since her death scene will be the show's first emotional punch. Pascal's casting is a good indication that this role will almost certainly go to a Latina actress, and someone that instantly jumped to mind for me is Isabella Merced. Best known for her role as Dora in the Dora the Explorer movie, it was her supporting role in Sicario 2 that I was particularly impressed with. She has a sort of instant likability that I think is really important for a character like Sarah, considering her role is quite brief, but crucial to both setting the tone for the series and for Joel's character arc. Tommy is a role I have a feeling is going to be greatly expanded on for the show. Again, Pascal's casting indicates a Latino actor, and there's one in particular that really clicked in my head when I thought about him, and that's Diego Luna. Pascal and Luna's careers actually mirror each other's in a lot of ways. Both played the lead character in a Disney Plus Star Wars series. Pascal starred in Narcos, while Luna starred in Narcos Mexico, and they both had supporting roles in the film If Beale Street Could Talk. Luna is also slightly younger than Pascal, which would be appropriate since Tommy is Joel's younger brother. And if you look at them side by side, they just look like they could be brothers. I've been a fan of Luna since seeing him in Rogue One, so his casting for me will be a welcome addition to the series. Tess is the character I've jumped back and forth on the most, and by pure coincidence, all three actresses I thought about have shared the screen with Pascal before. Initially I thought Katie Sackoff, who would probably be the safest choice. She's worked with Pascal on The Mandalorian, and played similar roles in Battlestar Galactica and Riddick. Battle-hardened badasses are Sackoff's bread and butter, but that may make her a sort of uninspired choice for the role, and a little too on the nose. The next actress I thought about was Lena Headey. Best known for playing Cersei in Game of Thrones, it's actually her performance as Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles that made me think of her. There's definitely a few similarities between those characters. The main thing going against her is that she's another Game of Thrones actor, which, on top of the two leads, might make the show feel like a Game of Thrones reunion. So I can imagine HBO wanting to avoid that, especially in the series' opening episodes. That being said, I do have one particular actor from that show in mind for another character, but we'll get to that later. So the actress that I've settled on, and I know this is going to be an incredibly unpopular opinion, is Kristen Wiig. Now yes, Wiig is primarily known as a comedic actress, but she's proven to have dramatic chops before. Her performance in The Skeleton Twins is a great example of that, and her role as Barbara in Wonder Woman 1984 demonstrates her chemistry with Pedro Pascal, and in one of my favourite scenes in the film, where she sadistically beats a man harassing her, she conveys a certain ruthlessness in that character that I think would translate really well to Tess. It would be a risky choice for sure, but I think actors often deliver their best performances when portraying characters outside their comfort zone. Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight and Charlize Theron in Monster I think have proven that. Since I'm going with Wiig for Tess, I think Sackoff or Headey would also both make great choices for Maria. So when Druckmann talked about the show deviating from the game, he gave a specific example about, quote, not having to teach the player to shoot a gun. So since Robert's role in the game is primarily to give Joel a shooting tutorial, this quote makes me think that the show will skip over him. Story-wise, his scene is really just to demonstrate Joel and Tess's ruthlessness and give them both a reason to accept Marlene's request to smuggle Ellie. I think the show is probably going to streamline this part, so there's a chance Robert won't even appear, but even if he does, it's probably not going to be a noteworthy actor, so I don't really have a casting choice in mind. I guess if I was going to base it on looks alone, Jerome Flynn would be perfect, since he looks almost identical to Robert's character model. But again, you run into that Game of Thrones reunion issue. There's two actresses that I think would be great for Marlene. The first being Zoe Saldana. She does a great job portraying a strong-willed, determined character like Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think those traits would carry over to Marlene pretty well. If not Saldana, an actress I've been really impressed with lately is Tayonna Paris, who most recently starred in WandaVision as Monica Rambeau. There's not really anything in particular about that performance that makes me think of Marlene. I just really enjoyed her in that show and want to see her in more projects. Another character I think may not make it into the show, but I really hope does, is Bill. While not exactly comedic, Bill has a kind of quirkiness and sarcastic wit that I think Donal Logue, best known as the equally sarcastic Harvey Bullock in Gotham, would absolutely nail. Henry and Sam's storyline delivers one of the game's heaviest emotional punches, and I think most likely will for the show too. For Henry, I was thinking Donald Glover, who is easily one of my absolute favourite actors, and while he's also known for mostly comedic roles, his performance in Atlanta shows he could definitely deliver as Henry. For Sam, I'm thinking Evan Alex, most well known for playing Jason in Jordan Peele's Us. While not the standout of that movie, he's very good at playing the scared child in a horrific situation. and his performance as Jason's doppelganger Pluto would translate quite well to playing Sam after becoming infected. An interesting opportunity this show brings is to work in elements of the Last of Us universe that were developed after the original game released. And one of the elements I'm most excited to see is Ellie's relationship with Riley. Left Behind's framing as a series of flashbacks occurring during Ellie's hunt for medicine for Joel feels like it was just made to be an episode of this show. Like Sarah, it's a brief but important role that requires an actress with a kind of instant likability. And one actress I think definitely has that quality is Akira Akbar. Like Tayonna Paris, she also plays Monica Rambeau in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the younger version we see in Captain Marvel. She plays that character as very lively but mature for her age, which I think is a perfect way to approach Riley on screen. Probably the closest thing The Last of Us has to a straight up villain, David is I think one of the most important characters to get right. Initially appearing to Ellie as friendly and compassionate, his facade quickly fades to reveal a disturbed and outright sociopathic predator. This requires someone who can convincingly portray both of those aspects, and I think the best actor for the job is Patrick Wilson. He has experience playing both the noble father character in The Conjuring and Insidious, and more villainous characters in The A-Team and Aquaman. But it's his performance as a child predator in Hard Candy that I think captures both sides of David's character perfectly. So that covers the characters that make up the core of The Last of Us' story, but there's two more characters that I feel the show is going to set up to play a larger role in following seasons. The first of which does appear in the original game, though his significance to the series isn't revealed until part 2, and that's Jerry. There's one actor that I think would be a very clever choice for HBO to go with, Nicholas Coster-Waldau. Waldau was the fan favorite choice for Joel, so casting him as a character that in many ways is supposed to mirror Joel would be a smart way to incorporate an actor that fans absolutely love, while helping Jerry to become a character people will connect with instantly. And those reasons are exactly why I would pair Waldau's Jerry with Caitlin Dever as Abby. An even more popular casting choice than Waldau as Joel, Dever topped almost every fan casting list I could find for Ellie, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, she's just a great actress, with her role in Booksmart in particular winning over many people's hearts, but the fan support I think largely comes from her previous work on a Naughty Dog project, having played Nathan Drake's daughter Cassie in the epilogue for Uncharted 4. Now I really like Dever as an actress, but considering she's 24, I just felt like she's a bit too old to play a 14-year-old Ellie. Abby is I think supposed to be a few years older than Ellie, so age-wise she would fit that character more. And I know this isn't the most important thing, but she just looks more like Abby than Ellie. Abby is an incredibly divisive character, and I think casting Dever would go a long way to softening her towards fans. Now Abby doesn't appear in the original game at all, but considering her importance to the series as a whole, I think it would be a massive missed opportunity to not establish her relationship with the father in season 1's closing episode and set her up for the prominent role she'll be taking in following seasons. So those are my picks for The Last of Us' supporting cast. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd be really interested to see what other casting choices you come up with. In my next video I'll be talking about the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima film, and I'll be covering more of The Last of Us as we get more news. So hit subscribe if you don't want to miss those. Hit like if you enjoyed this, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.